Good morning, everybody. This is Steve Fletcher with the Trumpet for My People. Today is September 30th, 2021, and I want to share with you guys about this poll that I did yesterday. I want to address this subject. Has the wearing down of the saints already begun? Now, before I get into this information, I want to share with you the first video I listened to this morning and the beginning of it, and it gives us our answer. Let's take a look at this little clip from Brother Mark Allison and see if this is going to give us understanding about this question. Has the wearing down of the saints already begun?
Yes, I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you're doing well and excited. Hopefully we're out of here. I want to say I have a lot of friends that they're just getting weary like me after my last video. People are just tired. I'm you know, I have had people message me where they just can't wait to get out of here.
Okay, so everyone is tired. Everyone is tired. This will be a good lead into this study today. Has the wearing down of the saints already begun? Okay. Let's take a look at this information. Daniel 7:25 says this: He shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until the time and times and dividing of the time. Okay, so the wearing out of the saints is connected to the beginning of the reign of the Antichrist. The Antichrist only gets 42 months or 1260 days. This is confirmed in 5 or 6 different biblical locations about the 3.5 years, about the times and half a time, the 1260 days, and it even gives us the definition of 42 months. Okay, so part of the wearing out of the saints is connected to the saints being given into the hand of the Antichrist for 42 months, times, and the dividing of the time. Okay, what did Brother Mark say in his video? Everybody is saying that they're all tired. Everybody is ready to get out of here. Okay, there's just no way that the wearing down of the saints has not begun. Everybody is worn out. All the saints are worn out. Okay, the wearing down of the saints is obviously already begun. We're watching it. We're seeing it. Okay, it's not something that's not physically visible or physically felt, or it's something that's just abstract that we can't put our fingers on, but it's something that is happening to the body of Christ that is, in general, over the board, across the board, is getting everybody tired. It's getting everybody just worn out. Okay? Has the wearing down of the saints already begun? And I put it this way in this poll that I did yesterday. Just kind of wanted to I'm not going to go over all the comments. I mean, we've got so many different perspectives out there and so many different ideas and everything else. But the poll that I did, I don't know how many people answered, about 600 people or something like that. Has the wearing down of the saints already begun? 66% said the wearing down of the saints has already begun. 9% says the wearing down of the saints has not begun yet, but will soon. The 19% says the wearing down of the saints can't begin until the rapture of the church. And 6% says the wearing down can't start until 3.5 years after the rapture. Okay, for those who hold to the 7-year tribulation period, that all the 7 years are going to be fulfilled after the rapture, then according to that idea, then there's going to be 3.5 years more after the rapture before the Antichrist actually even comes on the scene. And so anyway, 6% said that that's the case. So the majority of people say that the wearing down of the saints has already begun. Let's go with this, with the majority. I'm in that group. I teach on this channel that we are in the midst of the tribulation. The Great Tribulation has not begun yet. The Great Tribulation is the wrath of God that will not begin until after the rapture of the church. But the times of tribulation have clearly begun. The uptick in the persecution, the uptick in all the natural disasters, the uptick in the rise of the global one world government, which especially was seen immediately after the declaration of coronavirus as a global pandemic. I mean, this was a worldwide order. It went forth. All the governments of the world were already on board. They all knew how to carry out all of the protocols. And immediately, within 10 days of it becoming a global pandemic, we had a worldwide lockdown of over 70 countries. Okay, and I did the study on this as this was all happening, and so I can say from my own study that by March 21st, 2020, there was a worldwide lockdown. Worldwide means 70 nations or more, represents the entire world. Okay, and so I did the study on this, and this is what we were watching at the beginning of last year. It's already been a year and a half since this whole stupid thing began. It's already been a year and a half, and so are the saints being worn down? Has the wearing down of the saints already begun? And we're going to talk about this. The majority of the people, okay, that say this on this channel, okay, of the people that follow this channel. All right. Now, is the wearing down of the saints connected to the coronavirus, global pandemic, all of the things that they've done, with the masking? Now, more recently with the vaccinations, many jobs requiring the vaccinations even to continue working. Now the mandates coming. And so let's take a look at just the timeline of this. I just want to look at the timeline of this and see if we can understand some things here. This is connected to a 42-month time of the Antichrist. The wearing down of the saints. See, it says that the Antichrist will be able to wear out the saints. They will be given into his hand for 42 months. Okay, so he's not going to get more than 42 months. The days may be shortened, okay, but they're not going to be lengthened. And if God gave us a specific time frame of the maximum amount of time that the Antichrist will have, then I think that would be the absolute maximum. And then we have a shortening that could take place, which would mean that it could be over sooner rather than later. Okay, this is my perspective, but it says, "He shall speak great words against the Most High, shall wear out the saints of the Most High, think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until times, and the dividing of time." Okay, so from the beginning of the wearing down of the saints, if we can locate this specific time frame, then we can kind of put a cap on the length of when the wearing down of the saints is going to end. Okay, and this is part of why we want to look at this. I mean, this is biblical understanding. The wearing out of the saints is connected to a time frame. I mean, there's people that still come on my channel and say, "Why are you watching dates?" I mean, why does the Bible give us a date? Why does the Bible connect the time of the reign of the Antichrist with an amount of time if we're not supposed to understand anything? So if you want to remain ignorant about biblical revelation, then you might want to go to Joel Osteen's channel or other false teachers' channels, okay? Go to somebody else's channel. Go find all the peace and prosperity preachers, okay? Because that's not what we share here. We're going to look for biblical revelation. We're going to look and search for biblical understanding. And there's nothing wrong with examining the scriptures. Okay, this is what we do. So, it's just getting old about all these people still coming on my channel after all these years of understanding that, we are trying to search out the scriptures. So, the wearing out of the saints is connected to 42-month time frame. All right, now let's look at the events that have taken place on the coronavirus global pandemic key dates. Let's go back to the beginning. I'll connect the 42 months and the 1260 days after, but let's walk through the dates that we're gonna look at. Okay, October 18th, 2019 was Event 201, where they had a global planning meeting in New York. This happened. It was a pandemic planning meeting, what to do in case of a global pandemic. This happened 2 months before, okay, the actual patient zero that came. Okay, so they started planning this even before it happened, right? Then you have on December 31st, 2019, basically patient zero, whether it was December 31st or January 1st, right in that time we had patient zero, the first case of coronavirus that came out. Now, another thing happened on February 21st, 2020. Now, this is interesting because this was even before they had declared a global pandemic. And I was watching this piece of information. This was a very interesting item that came out on February 21st, 2020, when there was a church in South Korea. I think it was South Korea. I don't have the information right here in front of me about that event. But anyway, they took this one case about a church that they were still having church services together, and 19 people got sick out of this one church because they were refusing to social distance. They were still having services normally and everything else. Well, anyway, they used this one case to begin the shutdown of the churches. February 21st, 2020. It wasn't until March 11th, 2020, the global pandemic was declared, and 10 days later on the equinox, the spring equinox, which is always a key day in everything they do, it's connected to Skull and Bones 322, connected to the Georgia Guidestones, connected to the Abomination, connected to Obamacare, the spring equinox, all of this. The global lockdown begins. Okay, so like I said, I did the study on this. 10 days after the global pandemic was declared, they already had 70 nations in global lockdown. And all of these mandates were being pushed worldwide. So this is the system of the beast. It's the New World Order. It's the one world government. It's the 7 heads, the 10 horns. It's all in place. And then people, through this, they are pushing the mandate of the vaccination. So it's a coming from the beast. The vaccination is coming from the beast. And the people are still saying, many people still say today, this is not the mark of the beast. Well, where's the beast? Well, I don't know why you can't see where the beast is. Because as soon as they made this a global pandemic, it went worldwide. It's quite obvious the beast system and the global government is already in place. So I don't know why you can't see it. Okay? And I'm sorry to say it that way, but there's just a lot of people that don't have any spiritual vision or understanding about any of these things, and they're expecting some type of a monster to rise up out of the water, and oh, there's the beast. You know, I mean, they're not watching what's really actually happening in the world. All right, so that's a day we can look at. Then from there we can go as far forward as the first vaccinations of December 14th, the first vaccinations. That was the return of Barack Obama through the election of Joe Biden, through this whole time frame too of the Great Conjunction of December 21st. So that's another time frame. The vaccinations begin. Then we go all the way to August 23rd of 2021, which we're right here now, basically, between August, September, October of 2021, and they just finally approved the vaccines through the FDA, and this is the cause of ongoing and increasing mandates worldwide because the FDA approval has finally come. Okay, and so we have that, and then we have this date that's upcoming, October 24th, that we're watching, Chesvan 17, the day of the flood, which is also 1,260 days exactly from the rebirth of Israel on May 14th, 2018. Okay, so it's 70 years plus 3.5 years, and that's what we're coming up. We're coming up right now on the 3.5 years already. Okay, so we've got these time frames. So we don't have to go through all of this. This will be a little, overkill to go through all of this. You have it here. You can look at the these dates. But if we began at the beginning, October 18th, 2019, and go forward, 42 months, 1,260 days. There's a difference of about 19 days. Okay, so that brings us to April of 2023. The patient 0 brings us to June of 2023. The closing of the churches. Here was an interesting detail when I pulled up this. From February 21st, 2020, and that event that took place that caused the closing of the churches, 1,260 days from that brings us to Obama's birthday, August 4th, 2023. That was an interesting detail connected. The birthday of the Antichrist connected 1,260 days to the closing of the churches. That's interesting. Global pandemic declared takes us to September and August of 2023. September of 2023 from the global lockdown. Okay. And then the first vaccinations takes us to June and May of 2024. And then if we're looking at the FDA approval, then that will take us to February of 2025, and the day of the flood takes us to April of 2025. But where do you guys think that the wearing down of the saints began? Okay, I don't think it began as early as Event 201. That was not really the beginning of anything worldwide. It was the planning meeting. Okay, they started implementing everything with patient 0. Okay, let's get the ball rolling. But worldwide, there's not really anything that that took place there. We do have February 21st, 2020. The churches began closing. Now, this could be the beginning of the wearing down of the saints, although that wasn't really a worldwide order yet, and it was kind of isolated incidents, and they were getting the ball rolling, but not really anything in play yet. Okay, but it was a detail that came up. Okay, then we have the global pandemic being declared and the global lockdown. Okay, so we've got all of this. We've got all of this that's taking us to the fall of 2023. All right. And we've got the first vaccinations that takes us to June and May of 2024. Where do you guys think the wearing down of the saints began? I mean, I don't think that the wearing down of the saints began here in August of this year. I think it began a lot earlier than that. People are really, really tired and have been really, really tired for a long time. And I don't know if it all goes back to the beginning of the pandemic or if it goes back here to the first vaccinations. But somewhere in here, okay? Somewhere in here, somewhere between March 11th, 2020 and August 23rd, 2021, I think we have a good, comfortable time frame that we can consider the wearing down of the saints began somewhere in here. Okay, we don't need to know an exact date, but we have a general time frame, a general season, a general list of events that began happening that began choking out the life of the saints, choking out the life of the church. Okay, somewhere in here. Okay, somewhere between February 21st, 2020 and August 23rd, 2021. So the end of the 42 months, I mean, if we want to look at it that way, it's somewhere between August 4th, 2023 and February 23rd, 2025. Somewhere in here would be the end of the 42 months. The end of the reign of the Antichrist. The end of the Great Tribulation. Okay. Now I want to compare this to what I shared the other day when I shared my video called "When Will the Great Tribulation Begin and End?" There's a lot of numbers in this message, okay? A lot of numbers, but this is just for us to kind of get our heads around some time frames that we could be looking at, and I think this is beneficial in the long run for us to do this, and this is why I'm sharing it. But if we look at the beginning of the 70 years of Israel, let's go up to the top left of this, okay? The top left. We got November 29th, 1947, which is the Palestinian partition plan. 70 years, 70 biblical years, brings us to November 26, 2016. That's the end of the 70 years from the Palestinian partition plan. And then if we go another 2,520 days, 7 years, it brings us to October 21st, 2023. Okay. Very interesting that the 70 plus 7 years from the Palestinian partition plan ends in October of 2023. So we have a biblical 77 years from the rebirth of Israel based on the Palestinian partition plan. Then if we look at May 14th, 1948, 70 years brings us to May 12th, 2017, and 7 biblical years from there brings us to April 5th, 2024. Okay? So we have this time frame between October of 2023 and April of 2024 as the end of the 70 plus the 7 years. Now let's compare this to what we're looking at now and the wearing down of the saints based on the coronavirus global pandemic key dates. Okay. Now, if we're looking at the Palestinian partition plan from November 29th, 1947, going forward 70 plus 7 years brings us to October 21st, 2023. Now, if we connect this to the global pandemic, and then we add the 42 months and the 1260 days, October of 2023 or September of 2023, I mean, we're in this ballpark here of the end of this is 77 years. See? And the Antichrist was still given 42 months within the 77 years. Okay. And then if we go from the May 14th date, 70 plus 7 years brings us to April 5th, 2024. And this connects us with this time frame around the spring, summer time of 2024. The December 14th, 2020 vaccinations plus 42 months plus 1260 days brings us to this time frame around April, May, June, the early part of 2024. Okay. So what am I trying to, I mean, we're trying to study and understand where we are, all right? We're trying to study and understand where we are. Okay, so we have to look at the beginning of the prophecy of Israel, and the end of the 70 plus 7 years is October of 2023, and this connects us with a time frame where 42 months were given to the Antichrist to wear down the saints, and it's connected to the same time frame. Okay. Then we have this, all of this connected from May 14th, 1948, and bringing us to the spring and early summer of 2024. And this connects us with 42 months from the first vaccinations. And that's why, as I'm looking at October 24th, 2021, okay, this is the day of the flood, Chesvan 17. It's 1260 days from May 14th, 1948. So we have May 14th, 1948, 70 years. May 14th, 2018, and then we have 1260 days. Okay? 1260 days. Then this is the day of the flood. It's the day of the Balfour Declaration. It's United Nations Day. It's the day of the fall of man according to the Book of Jubilees, and it's a 7-day warning from Chesvan 10, which is a worldwide vaccine mandate deadline in many locations. Okay? So, as we're watching October 24th, 2021, we could see that the Great Tribulation may begin here, but it could go until April 5th of 2024, or it could go till October 21st, 2023. Both of these would fit in with the wearing down of the saints of the Antichrist for 42 months. Both of these would fulfill the 70 plus 7 years, the 77 years of Israel. Okay. And if we go only to October, then we have 2 biblical years, and so it fulfills everything. The Antichrist still has his 42 months, but it's not 42 months of wrath. It's the days of Great Tribulation have been shortened. In other words, the rapture has been delayed so that the wrath is less time. I think what we, as we shared at the very beginning of this message, has the wearing down of the saints already begun? The majority of people say yes, it's already begun. So what is the understanding of this? We're already in the midst of the tribulation. The mid-tribulation marker that we're coming up upon the rapture of the church will be the beginning of the Great Tribulation, and that a short time remains after that. In other words, I mean, like Jesus said, if those days were not shortened, no flesh would be saved. I mean, if everybody's already worn out, what is going to happen if they have another 7 years? Nobody would survive. Okay, nobody would survive. So I just wanted to leave this piece of information with you. You can use this to study. You can use this to see how it all fits in with really the end of the Great Tribulation. To me, would be most appropriately would be the fall of 2023 would be the end of the Great Tribulation. It could go into the spring and early summer of 2024 around this time, together with the last great American eclipse on Nisan 1, April 5th, 2024. That could mark the end of the judgment on Babylon. Okay, but that to me seems like that would be the longest marker where the end of the tribulation could be. I am not in agreement at all with everything going to 2027, 2028, and I don't think that's the way it is. I see the 70 years and I see the 7 years. So I think that 77 years of Israel really brings us to the end of the Great Tribulation. That's 2023 or 2024. Okay, and that's why I'm looking for a rapture on the day of the flood, October 24th, 2021, Chesvan 17. From today, 24 days. Okay, 24 days from today. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. I pray you're all blessed by this. Have a wonderful day. This is Steve Fletcher with a trumpet for my people, the sign of his coming revealed.